So very good afternoon to one and all present here in this online meeting on behalf of Ballarpur Institute of Technology and on behalf of the organizing committee of this faculty development program. I welcome you all in this online meeting, and I would now like to introduce our honorable guest for today's session, Mr. Akhilesh Coaching. Mr. Akhilesh Coaching has more than 10 years of experience in the IT industry. He has started his journey in the IT industry after being hired by TCS in campus interviews. He was designated as an implementation expert in TCS. He then led the implementation of TCS Treasury product for three domestic banks as an implementation expert. In the year 2016, he joined Hunar TechWorks Consulting LLP, which is a Pune-based IT firm, as a business analyst. Since then, he was promoted several times, and now he continues to work in the capacity of senior business consultant in Hunar TechWorks. His primary job is to understand the client problem statement, conceptualize and strategize solutions, lead and deliver and implement the finally hand over the solution. He has been doing this successfully in the IT division of clients across globe. These include Amsterdam, Netherlands, and Paris-based Ingenico e-payments, Indonesia-based XL Axiata, India-based Airtel, and so on. He considers his experience in the European IT industry very vital for his professional growth. As per him, the change in work environments due to change in the cities like Amsterdam, Paris, and in Asian cities like Jakarta and Delhi is very curious in nature. Such change guides us for the near future. Akhilesh sir, we are really happy and consider this as an excellent opportunity to connect with the IT fraternity today. So I will now request you, sir, to please start the session.
Namaste. Good afternoon, all the faculty members. Thank you, Abhijit sir, for that kind introduction. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, loud and clear.
Okay, and you can view the deck also, right?
Yes, sir, audible.
Okay, yes.
Okay, thanks a lot for that confirmation. So once again, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining this session. Those of you who had joined my session a couple of days back, we did discuss regarding the current scenario of the Indian job market and how it is changing, how the requirements are, changing very fast. The expectations from the companies which are going to the colleges to hire students are also changing. So today's topic that I think I'm fortunate that I got this topic. Thank you, Abhijit sir, once again for that. Coaching and mentoring in engineering. I suppose this is a huge topic, and we can spend days talking about it. But I have chosen a small part, which is again in continuation with my previous session that I took regarding projects. So in this session, we'll understand what is needed and why is it needed, and we will speak more about how to achieve it. So in the previous session, we established that instead of assignments, projects are better and all those details. In this session, we'll try to understand that when we say that, okay, projects are to be given, then how these projects should be given and what all properties or characteristics of the students should be monitored, and they should be promoted in which all areas which will help them be placed in the companies. So that is what we'll just look into detail in this session. So let's get started. I think the slide that you see on the screen, this has been well established, and not only this particular session, but faculty members must be participating in different type of sessions wherein they must be coming to know that these days just the basic technical know-how and the basic domain knowledge is not sufficient. Companies are definitely looking for interpersonal skills, whether the students can actually work in a team if they are good or strong team players, whether they can manage the stress. When we say stress, it is not the stress of completion of assignments, but rather actual real-time stress which is coming from real-time scenarios, either by clients or from their own team or the timelines that are there. Then whether they can manage their time properly. What happens when they deliver something or they prepare for something and then there is a change? So how students or professionals handle this? We call professionals them because the concept of students being absorbed into the company and then going through 6 months of training or a year of probation period has been changed now. Many companies directly absorb the students. There is hardly 1 month or 2 months of probation for the sake of formality. But they once they are taken into the company, they are directly absorbed in the project. This happens in my company also. In fact, when we go for interviewing students, we look for specific skill sets in them. We know because what kind of projects they would be absorbed. It's not like we will hire 100 or 200 students and then think about what qualities they have and all. We try to judge all these qualities during the interview itself, and we want them to be part of the project as soon as possible. So I think this has been now well established that apart from the basic technical skill set and domain, which are of course still necessary, but there are other things that is which are being looked into the students. So this is something we just spoke, that the market is changing very fast. There is a startup culture is coming up. Challenging deadlines are there. People are looking for result-oriented approaches, and they are working across national and international teams also. Because even when small companies are being set up, they have offices across the globe, and they have team members which are hired from those local countries. So at times, not only across India, but students are expected to work with team members who come from different parts of the globe also. One such simple example of this would be, let's say, payment system. This is one of the one of my favorite examples, I would say, because it is very relevant for us. आज हम लोग कहीं भी जाते हैं तो we make a payment either using our mobile or we swipe our credit card or debit card. So to just give an example that why the market is changing, like there was a time कि जब हम लोग payment करते थे तो it used to take like 2 days or 3 days for that amount to be credited or debited. But today when we see, it happens in within seconds. So when we say it happens within seconds, that does not mean that there are things or there are steps that are skipped, जो पहले होती थी लेकिन अब नहीं होती है. ऐसा नहीं है. इनफैक्ट पहले अगर 3 स्टेप होती थी तो आज 5 स्टेप होती है, या 7 स्टेप में वो प्रोसेस कंप्लीट होता है, क्योंकि देयर आर मोर रेगुलेटरी रिक्वायरमेंट्स एंड ऑल. द ओनली थिंग इज all these things are automated. The human interaction is reduced as much as possible. But when this happens, there are multiple teams that are coming together. So let's say you swipe your card on a POS machine. POS machine is the point of sale machine, जो हम लोग किसी भी शॉप में जाकर स्वाइप करते हैं. We call that POS machine. So when you swipe that, it will capture all this information. It will send the details to the acquirer. When we say acquirer, it is, let's say, MasterCard or Visa. These are the companies or establishments which are providing the necessary setup for all this processing. They gather all this information, they send it to the respective bank. So let's say अगर आपका कार्ड HDFC का है या फिर कोटक का है, तो उस बैंक के पास वो रिक्वेस्ट जाती है. Once bank confirms that okay, this particular customer exists and he has this much amount in our account, तो ये transaction valid है, they confirm it to the acquirer, which then sends it to, let's say, CCIL, which is the Clearing Corporation of India, which does all these settlements. और वो CCIL then sends it to the merchant's bank. ठीक है, let's say merchant का बैंक कोई और है, अलाहाबाद बैंक let's say, तो वहां पर वो क्रेडिट जाता है. Then they send the confirmation back to the HDFC bank, and then HDFC sends it back to the acquirer. Acquirer will send it back to the POS, और उसके बाद वो receipt generate होता है. At the same time, HDFC will also send a message to your mobile also that this much amount has been debited. तो ये सारी चीजें जो है, these are being handled by different teams. POS का एक टीम है जो उस एप्लीकेशन पे काम कर रहा है. Acquirers end, there is a team which is sitting and which has developed an application which is processing all this data. And then there is bank's IT team, and then there is let's say merchants team, and so on. So all these teams are coming together to ensure कि market का सिर्फ एक need complete हो सके, which is real time payments. ठीक है. So these are not people who are in the system or who are working for 10 years or 20 years. एक प्रोजेक्ट अगर आप देखेंगे तो उसमें हार्डली 3 से 4 मेंबर्स होते हैं. Let's say when there is a project of, let's say, 15 associates, there are hardly 3 or 4 people who are around 10 years of experience or so. The rest is all new crowd. Rest is mostly new crowd. So when we say new crowd, these are all freshers or students that are hired. But then they have to interact क्योंकि ये सब जो requirements है, these are very fast requirements. When someone decides कि हम लोग real time payments allow करेंगे, they do not take like 2 years of time to develop that application. They have to do it within few months so that they can capture the market, so that people will come on their application and make the transactions. So they expect whoever, whichever students are being absorbed, they should be able to work in such multicultural teams and they should be able to understand the dynamics of a project. Okay, so that is why all these skill sets are becoming more and more relevant now. So earlier people only used to talk about this, but now these are very real time, and companies are actually struggling to do this, which includes myself. Like I also hire a lot of students at times, and when they become a part of project, we have to put additional effort just for these basic skills which the student should have ideally learned during his college phase. And then that becomes really difficult, because after that, even if the student is performing well technically, this side of them becomes something which actually blocks their growth, or which takes time for them to grow basically. So any questions on this slide? Okay, I suppose not, but again, we would want to keep this session interactive as much as possible, because as I explained in the previous session also, unless and until there is a dialogue, value, I don't suppose that there is a value generated. Value तभी generate हो पाता है when there is a dialogue, people share their opinion and all. So we can start with this simple example that why projects are required. Let's say there is an assignment. Today it's 31st October, we are sitting on a Saturday. Tomorrow I will make available 4 excellent musicians to you. ठीक है, I'll make available 4 excellent musicians जो काफी टाइम से उन्होंने 3-4 साल से प्रैक्टिस करी है, and on coming Saturday, अगले Saturday पे there is a show, there is an orchestra, and they have to play songs there. Do you think they would be able to do so? They are excellent in their own instruments and all, but do you really think that they would be able to do so on the coming Saturday? एक हफ्ते का टाइम अगर हम लोग देते हैं, तो do you think they would be able to perform in that orchestra? A simple yes or no in the chat also would help.
So in the orchestra, they have to perform together or individually?
Yes, so they have to basically perform as a team there. I mean, they have to perform songs and so on. They have to put on a show, basically entertainment show, not just individual. Okay, we have 2 responses. One from Shilpa ma'am, that they need to sit together. Definitely, they do. Thanks a lot for that. And Amita ma'am, they need to practice. Yes, exactly. Any more responses on this? Yes, they have to practice together. Shama ma'am also says that they need teamwork. Definitely, they need the teamwork. Is the deck still available?
Yes, sir. The deck is still available. I think it is only the electricity power cut, but internet is working fine.
Yeah. Okay. I apologize for that. So definitely they need to work together, they need to practice together, but the answer of the question is whether they would be able to put on a good show. Probability, there is a high probability, I would say 70% to 90%, they won't be able to do this within a week's time, no matter how expert or how excellent they are within their own instrument. The very task of which songs to play itself will take couple of days. They have to come together, they have to decide which type of songs they can play, then they have to see whether they can actually play, because someone might be classical, someone might be playback and all those things. So just to decide which songs to play, it will take couple of days. After that, they will ensure that okay, what type of, within that song, There are different genres, whether they'll go for the acoustic version or they would go for the pop version of that particular song, and so on. So definitely, when we talk about that particular assignment, where they have to perform individually, yeah, okay. But when they have to perform together, which happens in a project, they will fail. So this is what is happening, that when students are graduating and they are joining the companies, they, even if they have good technical skills and all, when they work in a project, chances are that they will face a very tough time to make their work successful. So what is needed? Experience of projects is needed, wherein all these students, they should have a first-hand experience of working together within a team and not individually submitting all these assignments. So that is the purpose that projects these days are promoted, so that they have real-time experience of these. Now, how a project is received as such, if we compare, let's say colleges, okay, since all the faculty members, I suppose mostly from engineering, definitely. So how projects are received? I know that projects are mandatory in engineering college. I also graduated from in the year 2010. Um, so how are these projects received? I mean, how is it that these students actually get these projects? I think this can be varied as per your experience, but you can either unmute yourself or put it in the chat also. How are these projects distributed to the students, or how these projects are chosen by students? Let's say there are final year project, तो बच्चे कैसे ये प्रोजेक्ट फाइनलाइज करते हैं कि वो इस पे काम करेंगे, इस प्रोजेक्ट पे काम करेंगे?
Sir, I think it is different in different colleges. Sometimes what happens is the faculty members, they provide them a brief, they provide the students a brief idea, and then the students, they will come up with their own concept. And once that concept is approved for project by their project guide, then they will start working on it. This is how usually things work in most of the colleges that I have seen.
Thanks a lot for that response, sir. If it is so that it is like this happening in most of the college, I am surprised why the participating faculty, did not respond to this question. But in my experience, there are like 3 or 4 ways in which we used to choose projects. One was wherein the professors would assign something, which you just now mentioned, that professors or lecturers would take them through different projects and they can choose one of those. In few cases, students will go, they will search online something which seems doable for them and all, they will choose those. Then at times seniors will suggest that, okay, we have this project and we got good marks on this, and there is something readily available, so let's go. And one of the best sources for students is the vendors that are sitting out there, who are ready to develop the projects for the students. As opposed to this, let us understand how projects are received in a company, how the real-time environment works. We as associates of the company or the employees of the company, we actually go out, we look for the clients and the market's realistic needs. So if there is an existing client, let's say Airtel is...
Sorry to interrupt, but there are a few responses in the chat box. This is for the attendees. Actually, the chat box is not visible once the person who is presenting the screen, to him also the chat box is not visible. So I will read it out for you, sir.
It's fine. It's fine. I can actually read. So Shilpa ma'am says that their interest in a particular topic. Yes, definitely. Grouping, concept, approval, groundwork, submission. Typing text time. Yeah, even I apologize, Rose ma'am, for that. But thanks a lot for your responses. Patil sir is saying by discussions amongst the students, then students approaching the teacher to guide. Definitely, all these approaches are taken, and I suppose I have included this wherein professors assign, students will themselves choose, or seniors would suggest. So thanks a lot for those responses. I really feel that I am being heard here. So actually what happens in company, so we are now basically trying to compare what is happening in the real time scenario. We as associates, we go out, we look for the clients and markets realistic needs. When we say clients realistic needs means, let's say Airtel is an existing client, उनके पास हमारा already कोई project चल रहा है. In that case, if we want to expand, then we try to understand that apart from this project, where is the pain area, और ऐसा कौन सा एरिया है जहां पर क्लाइंट को दिक्कत हो रही है. बिकॉज सी इफ दे आर डूइंग बिजनेस, ओके, दे ऑल्सो हैव क्लाइंट. अगर एयरटेल बोलता है कि मैं बिजनेस कर रहा हूं, तो हमारे लिए तो एयरटेल क्लाइंट है, बट पीपल हु आर बाइंग सिम कार्ड्स फ्रॉम एयरटेल, दे बिकम देयर क्लाइंट. तो उनका भी कोई पेन एरिया है. ठीक है, इट्स नॉट लाइक एवरीथिंग इज वर्किंग स्मूथ इन ऑल दिस बिग कंपनीज. There is a big back office which is working to ensure that the user experience improves. So we try to search for these pain areas. Apart from this, we also look for market's realistic needs. मतलब ऐसी कौन सी चीजें हैं जो नहीं आ रही हैं मार्केट में, which you know wherein we can contribute, and then we take these things, we see whether we can develop that particular skill set. So there might be thousands of areas wherein they need to work, but we try to understand which all places we can contribute. So something we should have the necessary expertise in. Then we try to pitch that particular solution to the client. Once we have the necessary skill set, we think we can definitely deliver on that particular solution. We pitch a few solutions to the client, and then we continue to follow up on that. So that is how the real-time scenario actually works in our companies. So we can see that there is a big difference. The major difference is, I would say, understanding the client or understanding the market or understanding what is the need of the situation. So I think another simple question: why, like, I think, yes, definitely everyone of us value our salary. That is why we work. But why is it that we value our salary? Okay, we have an excellent question from Sulbha ma'am. What are the efforts the students should take to get a sponsored project? I think we can come to this question, ma'am, towards the end of the session, if you don't mind, because we will first try to understand how to achieve qualities which would, or how to, launch these projects in the colleges, and then we will come to the point how to get those sponsored. And in fact, during the entire session, I think this question would definitely be answered. So coming back to the question, why is it that we value our salary? We know why we need our salary, because we want to go and buy stuff, definitely. But why is it that we value it? Okay, in my opinion, I value my salary because I have put efforts for it. By that, I mean I have earned that salary. I ensure that I reach my office in time. I deliver the task that I have been appointed. And that is why I feel that I deserve that salary and I have earned it. And that is why I value it. As opposed to this, do we really think that the students value their projects or their assignments, that whatever assignments or projects they are doing? Okay, Rose ma'am has an excellent answer again. So once, of course, salary is the income and it's the satisfaction of teaching and molding the new generation. Definitely agree on that. But when we say all this, that we are feeling satisfied and this is an income, do we feel that students are valuing their projects based on the way they are submitting these projects? Once again, I will remind everyone that I am an engineering pass out of 2010. I have myself, gone through all this process, and that is why this is very relevant to me. At least during those times, based on the exposure that we had, I wouldn't say we actually valued those projects that much. Yes, we have a response, not really, only sometimes they value, definitely. So when we talk about valuing the project, I think the answer would be in most of the cases, no. We do know the need of it, that it is, you know, a mandatory part and it will help us score better marks. But if we say that whether they actually value, yeah, not all students value it. Only some. Amita ma'am is replying to this. Thanks a lot for that, ma'am. Thank you for confirming. So then, what would help them value for this? How colleges or how you as faculty members can help them, you know, change this kind of approach or the perspective of the students? So let us try to make this not only about the marks, but try to make it more realistic. Now, how this can be done? So as I mentioned at the start of the session also, today we will talk about more about the solutions, how it can be done and how it will help them get placed in the companies. So first is, we say that we set up requirements pool. When we say requirements pool means, I think faculties or colleges, they should come up with realistic requirements. It can be as simple as developing a small application for your library. It can be, if it is a mechanical department, then it can be as small as, you know, set up a particular lab with a few kind of a few tools or few machines or something like that. If it is from electrical department, it can be as simple as setting up a particular a room so that it can be eventually converted into a library or something like that. So come up with realistic requirements that are required. You either your college might require it, or your neighboring areas, surrounding areas might be requiring it. So I think in India, that is a really good thing, that people are very cooperative when it comes to colleges and students. So if we want to contribute to the society, uh, these kind of efforts are always welcome. So let us set up some kind of realistic requirements. Then we ask students to form teams, so that, and you know, these teams are not their friends. Like, it's not like, okay, ma'am, I know these two people or three people. I have already established a rapport for the past 2 years or 3 years of my engineering, and now I will do all my project with these people, because that is not what is going to happen in the company. In company, people have to work with different personalities, definitely. So ensure that the teams are formed wherein there is interaction between different classes. When I say classes, I'm talking about their uh, uh, standards. Let's say third year students are interacting with final year students, then there should be interaction between the branches. So let's say if there is a robotics project, then the infra can be handled by the mechanical branch, and the application or automation part can be handled by the IT or CTech branch, something like that. So they should be able to interact with students of different branch also. So this is the first step that we would recommend from our experience. Now, what all are the common interview questions which would help us or help the students basically to you know, get placed? Or these are the basically interview questions that we ask, and when students answer, we come to know where they actually stand. So first is like a basic: what was the engineering project? Why did you choose this particular project? Is the project in working condition? This is really important. If the particular project is in working condition or not, whether they can provide a demo of that particular. So if a student has actually worked on a project throughout year, they should be at least able to provide a demo. But the apathy of the situation right now is, students can hardly even explain what their project is about. And this is after interview of almost 2 or 3 colleges in the past couple of months. So when this would again answer the question key, when we say it is you know, pandemic times and jobs are not there, we have already interviewed in couple of colleges. Okay, so it's not that the requirement has died down, it's just that now people will start valuing good students even more. That is how it will work. So students should not only be able to explain, but they should be able to give a demo of their project, and they should be able to explain like what part in the project they were able to play, and why is it that they chose. And the kind of skill sets that now we are trying to observe here is because the technical skill sets are done, and fact is that technical or technicalities are changing every day. I have myself been working on, let's say last year I worked on Power BI. This year I am working on Tableau. Then we have our basic skill set of Ab initio and so on. So when I work in different project, whatever is the next application I have to interact with, based on that my technical skill set also needs to be upgraded, something like that. And when I say my, yeah, of course I have 10 years of experience, but then if the project is same, it is expected from the new professionals who have joined us as well. So it is not applicable only for the senior members, but to the entire team. So what is it that we are trying to look for? So these skills we see whether the student is curious and he's eager to learn new things. Because when they speak about their project, we come to know that how they thought of this particular project, or what made them curious that they can contribute here. Then when they explain that what all part they played, we understand that whether they were actually ready to put those efforts and whether they did or not. And if they can explain all this, we come to know that they are assertive and they are expressive. So when they would join our company, they would be able to add value. They would be interactive with us. And interaction in companies also provides asking questions as well. So all these qualities, whether they are proactive, whether they are suitable for our job profile that we are looking for, whether they understand what the competition is, because when they explain that out of these 4 projects we chose this one project, so they have to give proper reasoning that why they chose. So then, like, whether they understand the competition that is out there. So all these skill sets are what we are observing in the students.
Sir, you have used a word here, sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah.
you have used a word here that says proactive. Will you please help us understand what do you exactly mean here by proactive?
Okay.
Like generally we understand the meaning of the word, but proactive
Yeah.
in what sense is what we would like to know.
To keep simple, what we understand by being proactive, okay, that is what it literally means in the projects as well. That students should be ready to accept new assignments, or they should be, proactively or readily coming up themselves by saying that, okay, I am done with my this particular task. I need to take up another task. Or they should be proactively even helping their other team members, that if they are able to do one particular task, then properly, then if their team member has same kind of task, then they should be able to go and help them. So that is where the proactive nature comes in. The students should be active by themselves. They should be self motivated, because no one has the time these days to go and talk to the students or the newly hired and then put them in a mindset that no, you have to work and so on. They have to be themselves ready. There is lot of competition, and there is lot of good competition, healthy competition. So students have to be themselves proactive now. Any other questions on this slide, or on this first step that we discussed? Any questions, or if there are any challenges that you see? Because from my perspective, these are very realistic steps that I would be putting up today. But if there are, you see that okay, this is not possible or something like that, please do mention, so that we can also improve. Okay, Amita ma'am says that it is pretty much clear. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Rose ma'am, as well. Okay. Okay, then let's go to the next step. So what happens after the requirements are rolled out? What happens? So there is this requirement gathering concept, and there are a lot of memes that are created throughout the industry, in the market, about this. And one of the major reason for failure of projects and loss of revenue is इम्प्रॉपर रिक्वायरमेंट गैदरिंग. अगर हम लोगों को ये समझ में ही नहीं आया कि क्लाइंट को क्या चाहिए, तो एंड में हम लोग कुछ भी डिलीवर करें, क्लाइंट वोंट एक्सेप्ट इट. एंड मार्केट इज वेरी श्रूड. इट डज नॉट केयर व्हाट someone has done, unless and until they get what they have paid for, they will or they have promised you they would pay for, they would never pay. Okay, so now what should be the next step? So what is the importance of requirement gathering? We try to give this in these two images. So what we are seeing on the screen is, this is what is in the mind of the client, that it's a Jaguar image, or a small statue sitting on top of the Jaguar car. That is what they want to be delivered. That is the expectation from the client. Okay, and what actually gets delivered is this. So now this is a very realistic scenario wherein, to give an example, let's say payment system, again coming back to payment system, the client's expectation is that the payment should happen within 3 seconds, but after the application is delivered, we say that the payment takes actually 3 hours. And this is what happens in the projects as well. So this is the importance of requirement gathering. And then there is this concept of information lost in translation. So when we say information lost in translation, it is not only, I'm saying not only language, but also when it goes through different hierarchy or it passes through different team members. So the understanding or that information of the requirement also changes. I think this is very much applicable to entire humanity in our professional as well as personal life. So for this, I would just stop my presentation for a moment, and we'll just try to see a small video, if you would allow me. Is the screen visible, the YouTube video?
Yes, sir, the screen is visible.
Okay, so what I am going to show you is, there is a team of some students, and they on a paper, they on a page, they have been provided with a task, and they have to enact that particular task and show it to the next student, and then we will see what is it that was shared and what was interpreted by the last student. So I think they will start with the student with the black t-shirt, black and yellow print.
Okay. All right. So let's help Matthew then start.
Sorry, I just want to add a point here. We are seeing that the students are turning their back after they explain or they enact that particular situation. This is what happens in real time also in projects. People will deliver something from their side, and then they will distance themselves from that particular thing, saying that hamara kaam ho gaya hai. I think this is a very realistic enactment of that, and we'll see what it causes at the end.
So who do you think it is? Okay. And let me get a picture of what the word was, or the sentence was.
So I hope the video was visible, and we saw that the actual scenario given was that the person rides a bike and he or she falls. And what was interpreted towards the end was the person is dancing. And we saw how easily that can happen because the information exchanges multiple hands, and then there are different reasons for that, that they are not taking the things seriously, they are not, they are missing the small details of it, and that is how slowly things are misinterpreted. So that is what even happens in the projects also. Reason being, students or the professionals, they are not aware of the importance of these things. When they are sitting in a requirement gathering meeting, they will miss 1 or 2 points, which are then brought up in the later point in the of the project. So then, what is it that should be focused on? What is it that lecturers or faculty should focus on during the requirement gathering phase? They should ensure that the students understands the importance of the clarity of the project or the completeness of the project. They should look whether the students understand the accuracy. So let's say if there are 10 requirements, they should know what 10 requirements are. They should know the details of those 10 requirements. So let's say a requirement is prepare application for the library so that students can log in that application. Okay, that is first requirement, and then there are several such 9 requirements which completes 10 requirements in total. Then what is accuracy for this? So accuracy would be, initially we only stated that the application should allow students to log in. In accuracy, we will mention that it should allow 10 students to log in. So maximum at a time, only 10 students should be able to log in. Okay. Then what about consistency? So consistency means they should be, an example of consistency in this case would be that if there are different screens of login, it should have the college logo at the top. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि पहले इस पे कॉलेज का लोगो है और बाद में कॉलेज का लोगो चला गया. So there should be a consistency on the screens. Okay. So let us say even in the presentation that we have a template that you are seeing a background, and then to the right top there is a pink ribbon and so on. So this is consistency. And then last is suitability. So students should be able to relate to those projects. They should be relate to their own role that they are going to play in the project. That is what would help them to bring some clarity on the implementation and their project. And what happens if this is not done? Definitely the projects are lost if we go to the client and we provide a solution which is not meeting their requirements. Then definitely the project is lost. At the same time, credibility and reputation is lost. And this has happened multiple times. Even in my experience, I have seen it happening with other vendors. That they pitch a solution, but not only the project is gone, but their credibility or reputation is also then questioned by the client. And then definitely when there is a loss of revenue, all these companies, they want to ensure that they go to the root of it. And when this happens and it is understood that it is because of some human error, jobs are definitely lost. So there are many cases wherein jobs are lost because of such kind of errors or because of callous nature of work. So then how do we achieve for all this? What is the second step for us on this? So we would suggest that after setting these realistic requirement points and problem statements, there should be rounds taken up with the students to provide the solutions. So there should be a forum wherein these students, they come together as a team and they pitch their they come together and they understand the requirement. Once they understand all the detailed requirements, whatever solutions they have, they should be, asked to revise those based on the requirement. So this interaction should go on, that when the student says that, okay, for this application, we are, let's say, proposing a desktop application. Okay. And then at that moment you can say, but no, requirement is not desktop, because अगर वो desktop application है तो वो मुझे हर लैपटॉप में या हर कंप्यूटर में जाके इंस्टॉल करना पड़ेगा. हम लोगों को वेब बेस्ड चाहिए कि कहीं पे भी इंटरनेट है तो आई शुड बी एबल टू लॉग इन. फिर वो मैं मेरे घर से भी कर सकना चाहिए, एट द सेम टाइम फ्रॉम कॉलेज ऑल्सो. So these kind of interactions should happen, and then students will understand the importance of completeness, accuracy, and so on. Any questions on this? Once again, I will repeat the solutions that I am stating. In my opinion, those are very realistic, since projects are already part of colleges. It is only the perspective that I am trying to put forward, or a different way of implementing these projects. So if you see that something is not practical, please share that so that we can also take it as a feedback. If not, please share if there are any other doubts or something you would like to ask regarding this second step. Okay, I think it seems that the second step is pretty much clear. So the common interview questions that are seen for this are, what was the problem statement for your engineering project? So we definitely ask the students that what is the problem that you were trying to solve when you say that I have developed this app. Even the name of the app at times, or whatever the project they have done, even if it is a mechanical or electrical project, streams project, at times the name is pretty much clear. But when we ask them what was the problem statement that you were trying to solve, the students are really not very comfortable in explaining what is it that they were trying to do. And then the next question that comes is, okay, fine, if not problem statement, what was the requirement? What is it that that was given to you? आपके पास क्या requirement आया था कि आपने ये solution दिया है? Okay, so they should be able to explain all this. Which all features are covered by your application or product? This happened recently, last month, and out of, I think, 7 or 8 candidates, only one candidate could answer this. What all features or functionalities are covered by the application and product? And that was the only distinct point based on which that particular student was selected. And whether the project is scalable. So when we ask such questions, whether the project is scalable, some might say that, nahi sir, ye na thoda the language is different. What is scalability? Students won't know all this. This might be too much. But dear faculty members, this is reality, and this is the scenario right now. And it is expected that students should come up with all these jargons or these words. They should be familiar with these words. When we say scalable, basically we mean कि अगर ये project एक college के लिए implement हुआ है, तो 10 colleges में इसको implement करने के लिए क्या लगेगा? तो कितना आसान है कि इसको आप और दूसरी जगहों पे implement कर सकते हैं. So that is what is scalability. And there are multiple such things. But when students will actually work on projects, when they will go and scour the internet for all this, that is when they will come across all these words. And believe me, out of all these questions, if students are able to answer them, in a proper fashion, I'm not even saying that they should be extraordinarily explaining, but if they can actually explain it to the point, even that becomes a big distinction और जो 50 लोग या 50 बच्चे हमारे पास आते हैं, इफ वी नो दैट दिस पर्सन एक्चुअली अंडरस्टूड कि उसने क्या काम किया है अपने प्रोजेक्ट पे एंड ही कुड एक्सप्लेन इट, then definitely he or she is quite better, and that becomes a point of distinction because of which he or she is selected. So these are the common interview questions that we usually ask the students. Any questions on this before we go ahead?
Sir, the words that were used here in previous slide, like you said, whether it is scalable. Thank you for telling that, sir. Uh, you said that there are some technical jargons like scalable and words like that.
Yeah.
So, like, is it limited to a few words, or can we, can there be a place from where we can get more such questions, and wherein we can ensure that our students are familiar with all these things? Or,
So to answer that, definitely new words are coming in, almost every day, and these are definitely done by pioneers of the industry. But at the initial stage, I think yes, we can faculties, can definitely come up with the basic set of words which students should be able to use. In fact, even if it is not asked, okay, even if it is not asked, if a student answers and uses these words in their answer, let's say when I ask a student ki, what was your project and what all functionalities are there, and when he explains it ki, my application allows 10 students to log in, but I have kept it scalable for 50 students. That itself sparks something that okay, the student actually understands all these things. So definitely there are some basic set of words which can be used, and if there is a request, we can definitely share with the team eventually.
that will be great, sir, in case if it is possible to share.
Yeah. Okay, so I do not see anything on the chat box right now, so I assume that this particular step was pretty clear. So we will move on to the next step. So on the screen that you are seeing right now is a timeline and planning. So this is basically a milestone timeline. Okay, one of the projects that we used, we had to mask all the other details because that was confidential information. But what you are seeing here is a timeline from the month of September till the month of February, and what was the project kickoff date. So to the left top, you can see when the project started, what all activities were done within that timeline, and then which all important dates are there on which different production deliveries are going to be held. So this helps in tracking the progress of the project. Definitely this helps us be alert and knowledgeable about the next delivery and so on. It helps us to basically plan everything. So all these kind of documents these days are being used in the project, and once again I cannot stress enough that it is not only being referred by the senior members of the project, but it is expected that even the newly joined professionals understand this, because they are the ones who would actually work on this and helping implementing this. So this is basically a sample of milestone timeline. And of course, when I was talking about accuracy and all, I think there is another example. We have written here code freeze. So this is basically in the month of December, the last 2 weeks, there is code freeze. Why this happens is because in foreign countries or even in India, Christmas and New Year is celebrated on a large scale, and that is the time they ensure कि कोई production delivery नहीं होगी उस time पे, कुछ काम नहीं होगा. So that is why this code freeze is given. So we should be knowing and even projecting it in our planning कि ये time रहेगा जब हम लोग कुछ काम नहीं कर पाएंगे. So that is an example of accuracy. So then what is to focus on? When all this solution and these interactions and everything is happening, what is the third step that we should help the students to focus on, or rather I would say faculty should focus on, so that students understand this is what they need to work on. So they should be able to assess the resources and the problem statement, whatever requirement we have given. Based on that, they should be able to assess their resources. So when they, let's say, students are coming, 3 friends are coming. Now, usually what happens is they become friends because, they have joined the same tuition, or they are in the same class. So everyone can code really well, but there is no one from the mechanical department. Then that won't work. So they should be able to assess these resources. So they should understand that they should have someone from different stream who is required. Then they should come up with realistic timelines. They should be able to tell that if we have 10 deliveries or 10 functionalities which are to be met, students should be, based on their resources, their time, whatever schedule they have throughout the year, कब exams हैं, कब practicals हैं, कब उनके पास free time है, which is the time of the year they won't be able to do much. ठीक है, internally भी उन लोगों की क्या availability है, if someone is traveling somewhere or so, and all these things. So they should be able to come up with realistic timelines or realistic milestones, which then they should be working with the lecturers or faculty to complete. So they should be able to basically present the faculty ki sir or ma'am, throughout this year, January में हम लोग ये deliver करेंगे, Feb में हम ये deliver करेंगे, and so on. They should be able to draft their activities, that okay, now that milestones are done कि first पहले महीने में हम लोग functionality F1 deliver करेंगे. So what all activities are required for that? Let's say if I have to develop the front page of the application, so what all activities are there? I need to design, I need to finalize the colors that will be used in the design, I need to gather the logo for the college. Where do I find the logo for the college? फिर screen का size क्या होना चाहिए, and all these things. So they should be able to draft these activities. मुझे उस पे coding करनी है कि नहीं करनी है, and all these things. When they are doing all these activities, they are drafting their activities, and when they actually work, they should also be working on the issue log. And this happens. So basically, अभी ये सब इसलिए नहीं हो रहा है because students are not focusing on the actual job. It is actually being done by someone else, or it is being done in an unorganized fashion. Okay. But when they work together in a team with different students from different background, automatically they have to come up with issue log and RAID. So RAID is like risk, assumption, issue, and dependency. So when you are running a project, there are some risks that are there, and then there are some assumptions. So when we say assumption, so assumption in this example would be that the infra will be provided by the college. Okay, कि अगर हम लोग लाइब्रेरी के लिए एप्लीकेशन बना रहे हैं, तो जो लैपटॉप या फिर कंप्यूटर्स रहेंगे, वी अज्यूम दैट इट विल बी प्रोवाइडेड बाय द कॉलेज इंफ्रा. ओके, कि हम लोगों को कॉलेज में लैपटॉप या मशीन मिलेगा जिसपे हम लोग ये टेस्ट कर सकते हैं. ठीक है. रिस्क क्या है कि अगर हम लोगों को इंफ्रा मिलने में या फिर वो लैपटॉप मिलने में लेट हुआ, तो हमारा माइलस्टोन का डिलीवरी टाइम चेंज हो जाएगा. We anticipated कि इस काम को 25 दिन लगेंगे after we get that particular laptop or the machine, but वही हमको मिलने में 10 दिन वेस्ट हो गए, तो उसकी वजह से we might not be able to meet the timeline. That is what is risk. What is the issue? So issue is a risk that has already happened. ठीक है, कि अभी डिले हो चुका है, so then that is reported as an issue. And then what is a dependency? Dependency is this कि काम शुरू करने के लिए हम लोगों को लैपटॉप लगेगा. काम शुरू करने के लिए हम लोगों को चारों मेंबर्स इतने दिन के लिए प्रेजेंट होने चाहिए. सो इफ समवन इज ट्रैवलिंग ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम, दैट नीड्स टू बी एडेड टू द डिपेंडेंसी कि पर्सन सो एंड सो विल नॉट बी अवेलेबल फ्रॉम दिस टाइम टू दिस टाइम, और उसके लिए फिर हम लोगों को उसका जो काम है वो पहले खत्म करना है, सो दैट दैट पर्सन कैन गो ऑन लीव. सो दैट इज योर ड्राफ्टिंग ऑफ योर रेट. How to be together on this and how to work on this is we have to set up daily huddles. So there is this concept of huddles जो कि sports में actually होता है, जहाँ पर all the team members they come together and they put their heads together for like 3-4 seconds and they shout out a name of their team. So that is being adapted here, that on daily basis we put our head together, we ask each other कि कल जो टास्क था वो कंप्लीट हुआ या नहीं, अगर नहीं हुआ है तो क्या इशू है, आज हम लोग क्या खत्म करने वाले हैं, आज का टास्क क्या है, इफ देयर इज एनी अदर डिपेंडेंसी दैट नीड्स टू बी डिस्कस्ड कि जो पहले हम लोगों ने असेस नहीं किया या फिर हम लोग पहले असेस नहीं कर पाए और आज वो आया है, तो दैट नीड्स टू बी पुट टुगेदर. So all these meetings are happening in the companies also, and the challenge is students or the newly joined, they do not open up, they are not that assertive or they proactively do not share something. ठीक है, तो उसमें अगर उनसे पूछते हैं कि कल का टास्क हो गया and then they say yes, okay, because they are afraid that manager might think कि अरे इतना simple task था, कैसे क्या नहीं हुआ, and such kind of things. But fact is मैनेजर्स आर मोर वरीड कि जब ये टास्क आखिरी में आता है और तब पता चलता है कि अरे अब ये टास्क हुआ नहीं है, तब बताया नहीं गया, एंड नाउ इट इज कॉजिंग द एंटायर टीम a delay in delivering the project or whatever the task is there. Okay, so these kind of hurdles or this kind of environment is really important for students to have, so that they learn to speak up freely. And then they have to be innovative. I don't have to actually explain ki why innovation is required. It will help in saving efforts, it will help them become themselves smart, it will help them explore different opportunities and different avenues. But it is still a very very important point, because at least even now and even in our time, we used to think that being innovative is an alien concept and it is to be done by a particular set of students or a particular set of institutions. But that is not the case. Okay, the only difference is those are the people who took that first step and they became the pioneers. Okay, so who here has heard about InShorts? Has anyone heard about the application InShorts? Simple yes or no would suffice. This is not a really brainstorming question. आपने InShorts app सुना है कहीं पे? Okay. Professor Lal is saying no, sir. Shama ma'am is saying no. Dhotre sir is also saying no. Okay, Chan sir is also saying no. So, Rose ma'am is talking about InShort video editor. I'm not really sure if those two are related. Thanks a lot for those inputs. I think this is what also shows us that we are not in touch with the, I wouldn't even say market trend, because this is from the year 2013. So InShorts was an application which was started by 3 students of IIT, and it did not start as a mobile application. एक छोटा सा Facebook पे उन्होंने पेज बनाया था in which they decided कि बहुत सारा न्यूज़ अवेलेबल है, the only difference they will give to the society is कि 60 वर्ड्स में आपको न्यूज़ डिलीवर होगी. तो आज अब जब हम पेपर खोलते हैं या फिर ऑनलाइन जब न्यूज़ पढ़ते हैं, there is a big story, पूरा ऐसे लिखा होता है, and the actual information is very small out of it. So InShorts, what they did was they decided that all the news they will gather and they will convert it into a 60 words storyline, and that will be delivered. So they started as 3 students. उसमें कोई भी, they started as a Facebook page and they were actually manually editing the news. So there is I would say not much of technical expertise required or something, but they took that first step. When they got that idea, they took that first step, and in the year 2015 Times of India bought this app, and in the year 2016 I think they had a revenue of 24 crores. Okay, so that is what is the story of InShorts. Today it is a big hit amongst all the IT. Even I use it because I do not have a lot of time to sit and go through unnecessary things that are written. Just because someone has time does not mean I have time. So I just use InShorts, I see what is the news and I move on. Okay, so I think it is important that we take that first step. We might think that it is really silly, or we might think that it is really big or humongous mountain task. That is not the thing. What we have to do is we take that first step. The second one is we are seeing a mouse. Basically, this is an example of how innovation is achieved based on limited resources and when you have a good purpose with tight timelines. So why we are telling this story is this is something that colleges also can very easily focus on, because there is only span of 1 year and students have their examinations and so on. So this kind of environment already exists. All we have to do is actually make use of that environment. So in the 70s or 80s, there were a war going on between countries of Cambodia and all. और उसमें उन लोगों ने the enemies, they started planting landmines on their borders. ठीक है, उन लोगों ने अपने borders पे landmines बिछाए, so that enemy अगर by foot if they come within their country, there will be big blasts and the enemy would be killed. But what happened was जितना enemy अंदर आते गए उन्होंने landmines plant करते गए, and eventually a time came कि ये उनके एक्चुअल रेसिडेंशियल एरियाज में या फिर ऐसे एरियाज हैं जहां पर लोग काफी जाते हैं, वहां पर भी ये लैंडमाइंस थी. सो आफ्टर द वॉर वाज ओवर, there were many human casualties because of these landmines. So people of their own country were being killed. Now what could be done? So because it was the 80s and so जो metal detectors और ये सब equipments थे, those were very expensive, and these countries were already poor, who had lost a lot of human resources and also financial resources because of the war. So they did take up some metal detectors, and when they started working on it, there were various challenges. Within a given time frame, they could only search this much square feet. Okay. So they could not, ऐसा नहीं है कि वो मेटल डिटेक्टर लेकर घूमना शुरू कर दिया और 1 घंटे में 1 एकड़ खत्म कर दिया. That wasn't the case. They had to spend a lot of time on ground. ठीक है, there was very few land they could cover throughout the day. On top of that, there were still cases जहाँ पर human casualties हुई. People who were actually holding those metal detectors and all, they suffered injuries and so on. So there was this one NGO which started working on an innovative concept. So what we are seeing here is limited resources. हमारे पास ज़्यादा पैसे नहीं हैं और हमारे पास time भी कम है, because they want to use that land for the betterment of people. So there is a purpose as well. There is a good purpose as well. So what this NGO did was they came up with a new concept or innovative concept. They started training rats to detect these landmines. And many institutions, many international organizations actually laughed at them and they made fun of them. Okay, but fact was that after a few months of putting their heads together and putting all the hard work, they could train 4 hero rats, okay, who could actually go into the field. They could detect the landmine and mark its location, which then humans could go and easily extract. तो इसमें फायदे क्या हुए कि rats, so they do not have to invest much. There is no casualty, because when rats walk on the landmine, they do not explode. Those mines, they do not explode, or landmines, they don't explode. At the same time, they could cover a large ground. ठीक है, जो humans को metal detector लेकर घूमना पड़ता था, rats could cover a lot of land within a day. So it solved a lot of their problems, and then they were further awarded, of course. After that, when they got that recognition and they made the problem go away, they were actually funded by many organizations, international organizations, and they were awarded also. So this is just an example of being innovative or taking that first step, which might seem a little silly for someone and people might criticize it, but if it is practical and if you can make it work, it is really important. And then the last one is another one of my favorites. I wouldn't say that it is a true story or not, but it is something that depicts the thinking process, or it depicts the perspective of people. So it is a story of a Japanese vendor and an Indian मारवाड़ी वेंडर. तो एक कंपनी थी, उन्होंने जापानीज दोनों वेंडर्स को, इंडियन मारवाड़ी वेंडर को और जापानीज वेंडर को सेम काम दिया, जिसमें एक मशीन था सोप्स पैक करने का, तो सोप बन के आता था एक बेल्ट पे, एंड इन द लास्ट पार्ट ऑफ दैट बेल्ट soap, उसके soap केस में they used to insert that small paper kind of case that we have, उसमें insert होकर वो आता था और एक कंटेनर में गिरता था for so that that container can be taken for shipment. What happened was the client faced problem कि बहुत सारे ऐसे soaps आते थे कि उस कवर में ना soap नहीं होता था, ठीक है, whatever मशीन का फॉल्ट था what not, जो लास्ट बेल्ट आता था उसमें सिर्फ वो कवर दिखता था लेकिन उसमें सोप नहीं होता था, एंड देन दे कंप्लेंट, सो दे कंप्लेंट अबाउट दिस टू द जापानीज वेंडर आल्सो एंड टू द इंडियन मारवाड़ी वेंडर आल्सो. The Indian Marwadi vendor took his time. He was thinking about the actual problem, but then Japanese, they cannot live with such kind of faults. They are very famous for delivering something which is of 100% quality. उन लोगों का क्वालिटी अश्योरेंस बहुत अच्छा होता है, एंड दिस इज इंटरनेशनली नोन. सो दे केम अप विथ एक्सपेंसिव मशीन विच वुड सेंड सम एक्सरेज, एंड देन वो रेज वापस दूसरे प्लेटफॉर्म पे बम्बार्ड होते थे, एंड देन दे वुड गेट एन इमेज बेस्ड ऑन विच दे यूज्ड टू अंडरस्टैंड कि उस पर्टिकुलर पेपर के अंदर और उस पैकेज के अंदर एक्चुअल में सोप है या नहीं है. इट वॉज एक्सपेंसिव, इट रिड्यूस द टाइम, क्योंकि उसके पास उस पर्टिकुलर सोप को स्कैन करने के लिए टाइम होना चाहिए, इसलिए उन लोगों को बेल्ट स्लो करना पड़ा. सो जहाँ पे 1 मिनट में 30 सोप बनते थे, अभी उन लोग 1 मिनट में 15 ही सोप बना सकते थे. ओके, समथिंग लाइक दिस. एट द सेम टाइम जो वर्कर वहां पे काम कर रहे हैं उन लोगों का स्किल सेट अपग्रेड करना पड़ा, क्योंकि अब वो मशीन भी चलाना जानना चाहिए उन लोगों ने. ओके, एज अपोज टू दिस, व्हाट द मारवाड़ी वेंडर डिड वाज, इंडियन मारवाड़ी वेंडर डिड वाज, उसने एक टेबल फैन लिया और दोनों तरफ से एक टेबल फैन लगा दिए, ठीक है. सो व्हेनेवर अ सोप वुड पास थ्रू इट और अ पैकेज वुड पास थ्रू इट, अगर उसमें सोप है तो वो वैसा ही रहता था बेल्ट पे, अगर उसपे सोप नहीं है तो दैट पैकेट वुड ब्लोन ऑफ द बेल्ट, ठीक है. तो इनफैक्ट ही कुड एक्चुअली इंप्रूव, ठीक है. 1 मिनट में अगर वो 30 सोप करता था तो अब वो 35 सोप करने लग गया, बिकॉज ही वाज सो श्योर. इट डिड नॉट रिक्वायर लॉट ऑफ मनी, ठीक है. एक टेबल फैन लगाने में ज्यादा मनी नहीं है, एंड देयर वाज no need of lot of skill upgradation also. So it is really important that students should learn to think innovative. It's not that the success would be right away there, but we all need to take that first step. And where all this do we get? So we should learn to Google. Accept it or not everything can be learned. So even us, we go on Google for so many things. Okay, even the timeline that we saw, there are 2 ways or 3 ways in which I can think of making a timeline which is creative. Okay, but at times even I have to borrow ideas, and where do I go for that? We go to Google. Similarly, so if students they have to learn a new technology, or if they have to want to know some new commands, or if they are working on some robotics project, where do they get all this understanding? They can definitely go and learn to Google. So I think sir there was a question, right, कि हम लोगों को ऐसे terms कहाँ पर मिलेंगे या फिर ऐसे jargons कहाँ पे मिलेंगे. I think it is really good, if you can give this as an assignment to a student, that like go to Google, look for different job descriptions or different projects, और उनके जो functionalities हैं, और उसमें जो आपको अलग words दिखते हैं, those you come back, you share with each other, and then they can have a discussion on those. So they basically, students should learn how to Google. Dhotre sir is asking, so they did they use fans? Yes, like I said, it's not a true story, but it is an example of how approach works. Okay, so they used definitely.
So it is actually, I have read that story. I'm sorry to interrupt, sir. It is a true story. I have read that story in Twinkle Star magazine of Itwada newspaper.
Oh wow, great. So actually, I we had this discussion about perspective and all, and that was the time someone shared this with me also. So since I wasn't sure about the source of it, but I like the concept, I shared it. But it's good to know that it's a true story. So any questions on this step that we mentioned, how innovation can be promoted and how perspective matters? Okay. Okay. So no questions on this. Okay, fine. So we'll understand, how issue log and a raid log looks like. Issue log would typically have fields like what is the issue number, what is the date on which it was opened, what is the category of it. So when say category, ये प्रोजेक्ट टू प्रोजेक्ट चेंज होता है. ओके, सो अगर हमारा लाइब्रेरी का हम लोग एग्जांपल लेते हैं, तो हम लोगों को स्क्रीन बनाना है लाइब्रेरी के एप्लीकेशन का. एट द सेम टाइम हम लोगों को डेटाबेस भी बनाना है जहां पर इंफॉर्मेशन स्टोर होगी. तो द टीम विच इज वर्किंग ऑन द फ्रंट एंड, उसके लिए अगर कोई इशू है तो आप उसका कैटेगरी लिख सकते हैं फ्रंट एंड और यूआई, यूजर इंटरफेस. ओके, वो उसका कैटेगरी हो गया. अगर आप बैकएंड की बात कर रहे हैं तो यू कैन राइट डेटाबेस. ओके, सो बिकॉज वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट डेटाबेस, सो दैट जब आप डेली हडल ले रहे हैं तो जो फ्रंट एंड की टीम है दे कैन फोकस ऑन फ्रंट एंड इश्यूज, जो डेटाबेस की टीम है दे कैन फोकस ऑन डेटाबेस इश्यूज. ठीक है. देयर माइट बी समवन हु इज वर्किंग एक्सक्लूसिवली ऑन रिक्वायरमेंट गैदरिंग. ठीक है, जो कि फैकल्टी के साथ बात कर रहा है और रिक्वायरमेंट्स कलेक्ट कर रहा है. यू कैन राइट रिक्वायरमेंट गैदरिंग आल्सो एज वन ऑफ द कैटेगरी. एंड देन द इशू एंड व्हाटएवर द डिस्क्रिप्शन इज रेज्ड बाय इज किसने वो इशू ओपन किया है. ठीक है, किसने वो इशू खड़ा किया है. एंड देन ओनर, सो बाय ओनर वी मीन हु वुड बी आंसरिंग फॉर दैट. सो इफ देयर इज एन इशू रेज्ड कि इंफ्रा अवेलेबल नहीं है या फिर लैपटॉप अवेलेबल नहीं है, so let's say Akhilesh has raised, so raised by would be Akhilesh, and if I have raised it to one of the faculty, तो वो faculty member का नाम let's say Rose ma'am, so it will appear as owner. Okay, and then clarification, so whatever Rose ma'am then explains in her clarification that okay it will be available on so and so date, so that kind of, so these kind of details are tracked. Why this is important is when there is a time कि जब आप लोगों को आखिरी में डिलीवरी करनी है या स्टूडेंट्स को जब आखिरी में डिलीवरी करनी है बट वो टाइम पे नहीं हो पा रही है, there has to be a written log for this, that why this kind of delay happened. Okay, I think the same is what we are talking in the second, the serial number, then we will mention whether it is a risk, assumption, issue or dependency. Okay, then we will give the description and what date it was done, and the difference is impact कि अगर ये रिस्क है या फिर ये assumption है या ये dependency है, अगर ये meet नहीं हो पा रहा है तो हम लोगों को क्या इम्पैक्ट होगा. अगर लैपटॉप 10 दिन लेट हुआ तो जो हमारा माइलस्टोन का टाइमलाइन है वो भी 10 दिन लेट हो जाएगा या डिले हो जाएगा. सो व्हाई दिस इज इम्पोर्टेंट और आई एम शेयरिंग इनटू दिस डिटेल इज, जब हम लोग बच्चों को पूछते हैं कि क्या प्रोजेक्ट पे आपने काम किया या फिर आपका क्या रोल था, इफ इवन वन स्टूडेंट सेज that I was responsible for maintaining the issue log, जब हम लोग डेली हडल करते थे everyone used to discuss, I was the one who would write all the information in the issue log and then share it with everyone. Believe me, that particular student will be selected irrespective of his technical abilities. To that extent I would go and say technical abilities of course definitely matter, but out of 50 I think 40 are sitting there with the same technical abilities, but what gives a distinction is knowing this kind of processes or knowing how to interact or knowing how to express and explain these things. So that is why I am sharing it in this detail, because I really hope that student, if they can practice on this, it would really help them get selected in the colleges. So what all are the common interview questions? So why the student chose a particular approach for the solution, or why they chose a particular technology. So they should be able to explain when they assess their resources. They should be able to explain that, sir, in my team I had someone from mechanical and someone from IT, so we chose that we should go for automation in robotics. Okay, or the problem statement that was provided to us was कि एक library के लिए solution बनाना है, and we assessed that we would be able to do this in 6 months time because we are 4 people and we could actually work within that timeline to provide that kind of solution. Then why they chose a particular technology? A simple answer that, sir, we could actually have all the information on that technology available in our college because हमारे faculty को उसका expertise है. Okay, और क्योंकि Google पे हम लोगों को उसका end-to-end information available है, so whenever we had any issue, we knew कि हम लोग यहाँ पर जाकर देख सकते हैं. Okay, so a simple example of this answer would be technology. It is not expected that they would right away start talking about specification कि sir ये open source है या ये फ्री है, इसमें पैसे नहीं लगते, or something like that. Even those could be the answers, but the expectation is not that high. But they should be able to establish this kind of reasons for whatever solution they are giving. Then what type of issues we like they faced, and this is definitely something that we ask, we make a point, we ask, क्योंकि that is what tells. अगर मैं यहाँ पे आके बैठता हूँ and if I start saying that okay for the last 10 years I have worked so and so so and so, the next question that would say how would you judge yeah that's true or not. So the first thing you would ask what all are the projects or achievements or certifications that are there, and the next thing that one would ask is what kind of issues you faced, and then when I explain कि ये मुझे issues आते थे, it will be very easily understood कि मैंने उस पर actually काम किया है या नहीं है. I think in fact faculty must be able to relate it. जब बच्चा बोलता है कि yes हम लोगों ने assignment किया है, by asking few questions faculty can very easily determine कि उसने वो copy किया है या खुद से लिखा है, ठीक है. So we definitely ask this question, we make a point, we ask whatever issues they have faced and whether they were able to complete the project in time, and if no then why not. ठीक है, तो उसमें आंसर ये एक्सपेक्टेशन नहीं होता है कि yes we could complete the project on time and we are proud of it. That is not what is. Even if they say no and they can actually give a reason कि हम लोगों को लैपटॉप या इंफ्रा जो था वो लेट मिला था, something like that, even that is good enough. Again what we are seeing is whether the student is clear about whatever he or she is doing. So our next topic is teamwork. Once again I would ask if there are any questions on this, whether this seems realistic or not, or you would have any suggestions for us as well.
The participating members are requested, in case if you have any queries or any doubts, you can always unmute yourself and talk directly to the resource person. Or you can also write in your queries in the chat box, and they can be answered by the expert speaker. Sir, I would say from what I have understood is there are many minor changes that we need to make while implementing the projects in our colleges.
Yeah.
And these changes may look minor, but when it will actually come to implementing it, I think there is a lot of preparation which will be needed on the part of college as well, and on the part of students as well. But then it
Yes.
sounds really interesting, and it also makes me feel that if we are able to adopt this approach, then maybe we will be actually able to, strengthen our students in such a manner that performing well in the interviews will be easy. Not just that, they will be able to function very well once they are absorbed in the industry. So that.
Yeah, I think excellent observation, sir, that these are very minor changes and might not seem that much, but these are really, really important. I would just add one more point is these are very simple to implement also. It's not like, we have to change a lot of process. There is, a lot of learning to be done from faculty as well. These are very simple things which can be, implemented very easily. And, to put it in other perspective, how many students do you think across different colleges can actually answer a simple questions about issue log and all? And when you yourself as faculty, if you interact either someone from your college or when you visit some other college, if a student is sitting with you and they have a genuine question or a genuine interaction with you, and they mention that sir, we had this kind of issue and we have issue log, would you be able to help us, something like that. It is very impressive. And believe me, throughout the year, all the interviews that we take, there are very few students who talk about this. So I think this is a very big opportunity for us to improve, and it would definitely get the students placed in the companies. Okay, I think so. No questions on this. Teamwork. Once again, it is a topic that does not need much introduction as such. We all know that it is really important. When united we stand, divided we fall. But even in the previous session, I mentioned this, and I think this is another perspective of teamwork. That a team is only as strong as its weakest link. इंडिविजुअल कॉन्ट्रीब्यूटर्स डेफिनेटली ये मैटर करता है कि स्टूडेंट्स को कितना अच्छे स्टूडेंट्स के कितने टेक्निकल एबिलिटीज अच्छे हैं, बट अगर 10 लोगों की टीम है उसमें से 9 लोग अपना काम करते हैं लेकिन एक प्रोफेशनल फेल हो जाता है अपना काम डिलीवर करने में, द एंटायर प्रोजेक्ट फेल्स बिकॉज क्लाइंट डज नॉट गो and see this ki who has failed in delivering this. They are not interested. They see whether the vendor has delivered or not. On the day of delivery, all they ask is, okay, show us whether it's working or not. That is how it works. No one has that much time to get into the details, who has worked and who has not. So what happens is, if even one member fails, the entire project fails or the entire team fails. So to put it in other words, again, a team is only as strong as its weakest link. We need to learn how to work together. We need to learn how to take everyone together with us, and that is what would lead to success. We might feel insecure initially that okay, मैं इसकी मदद कर दूंगा तो they would know more or something like that, but that is not the case. Fact is, when you help someone, if the students deliver something on time or the professionals deliver the project on time, only then client will trust them and they will give them more projects. And this is how trust is built within team also. So what is the fourth step then? How all this can be done? So war room discussions can be arranged wherein issue log is discussed. They should sit together. War room is a concept basically when there is an issue which is long pending, and apparently there is no solution being found. So that is the time everyone comes together and ensures that they be in that room or in those premises unless and until that issue is resolved. Then what else is more important for the team to work? Or I would even go to an extent and say that where is it that the team fails? That is when the students are not objective. That is when they are not working towards a particular goal. Instead they get lost in the process and they start having problems within themselves. Okay, so we always say that fight and fix the issue, not the person. So if I am saying something and if someone has a different opinion, I should not be feeling offended right away. I should actually take up that point and then try to contradict that point using my logic. And the next person should also keep doing that. Only then a healthy competition and a healthy team can be maintained. So it is really important that we are objective. We are looking for solutions and trying to fix the issue and not the person. Okay. And how this can be done? This can be done by providing an environment wherein students can come up with solutions and their own opinions, and they should be basically promoted to speak up about these things. Even if they feel that someone might feel offended, it is important that they speak up. Okay, and the person who is expected to be offended should be taught that how they should not feel offended about it. Rather, they should look towards the objective of it, or the purpose or the logic of that argument. Okay, they should be then asked to celebrate their achievements together. When basically they start doing all this together, automatically they are promoted to celebrate their achievements together. And when they do this, when they complete this one cycle, they are happy to come together and face the challenges again. Okay, because they know the sense of achievement and how it feels to celebrate it with all the team members. So I think it is a cycle. It takes a little bit of pain initially, but once all the students develop that level of maturity, they actually start enjoying the work, or they start enjoying that particular process. It is something like planting trees. We might, or plants, we might find it really difficult or really boring initially, but once we see the growth of the plants, we go and do it again. Or a morning jog, okay, we might find it really difficult, but once we start seeing the results of it and we see the achievement out of it, that okay, we start feeling fit and all, we start doing it more and more. So that was our next step. Any other any questions on this fourth step that we discussed? I think teamwork is something that not only students, but we as faculty and even we, in our daily jobs, we keep learning new thing, because we interact with people with different opinion and perspective, and people are very innovative in their thinking also. So it really helps us, keep upgrading ourselves, I would say.
Sir, I would go further saying that I suppose that in case of the industry, I mean, if the actual working industry and the education sector, if they will also team up, then I suppose many of the issues will automatically be resolved. I suppose that here also there is a lot of scope for teamwork.
Definitely, definitely. I think when people come together for one purpose, it definitely puts that particular spark and push into that. So even if this simple concept, if particular colleges they decide to implement it and they come together, I think companies also would be really interested to see these kind of models and how these are working. Okay, because when we say companies, we are not aliens. Okay, we are the product of the education system which is there, so we understand how it works in and out. Okay, even if we are not teaching in that education industry, we know how it works. So when someone tells that, okay, we have brought this difference in the projects wherein students are doing their projects in this way, I think definitely companies would be very happy to visit all these places, and they would look forward to then hiring students from these colleges. So definitely there is a big scope for this. Okay, so I think we can move to the fifth step because I do not see much in the chat box now. So the fifth step is about handover. Um, Handover is really really important, and it has a philosophical touch to it, it has a practical touch to it as well, because it is very important that we leave something that is in our hand, only then we can grab something else. The challenge that I see that the students that come from different colleges and all in our company is, let's say when they work for 6 months in a project, when they are given tasks entirely different. So giving an example, if we see, say, the library application, someone who was working on the front end, when suddenly they are asked to drop that and they are asked to work on the back end, the database part, okay, where data is stored, suddenly they have this thing, they have a negative feeling about it, that did I do something wrong, why is it that I am being removed from this particular task. On top of that, they have a challenge that they are not really good in communicating, so they do not ask about it, and then they keep it inside, which is then reflected in their work, and then slowly they decline in their teamwork, basically, I would say. So it is really important that students should be taught that they can only learn new things only when they let go of the things that those are in their hands. It is really important for that. And how it can be done, it can be done by following standard practices and policies. So when I learn something, if I keep it in an organized manner, then I will not be afraid of letting it go, because next time when I want to access it, I know that I have it in a particular format with me. So next time when I need it, I can refer it and right away start my working. So in projects, what happens is we have standard practices and policies of coding. तो जब आप कोड लिखते हैं तो बेसिक चीज है कि आप उसमें कमेंट डालें कि वो पर्टिकुलर पीस ऑफ कोड क्या कर रहा है, ठीक है। या फिर आपका रोबोटिक्स का प्रोजेक्ट है और आपने कोई डॉक्यूमेंट बनाया है कि उसका डिजाइन कैसा है, ठीक है। एक पर्टिकुलर अगर पुली लगाई है या कोई रोटर या मोटर लगाया है, तो व्हाट इज द पर्पस ऑफ इट, वो आप डिजाइन डॉक्यूमेंट में मेंशन करके रखिए, सो दैट जब फ्यूचर में आपको चाहिए आपको भी वो मिलेगा। एट द सेम टाइम इफ यू गिव इट ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट पर्सन इन योर टीम, even they would be able to understand. So that is how handover happens, by maintaining documents, by following standard practices and policies. And it is really important. I think initially there is a uh, you know a hesitant attitude towards this, but when this happens, that is the time students also grow, क्योंकि जब आप अपना डिजाइन किसी के साथ शेयर करते हैं and they start discussing and you are objective, you are not fighting the person but you are trying to understand their perspective or their logic, that is the time the students start growing. They understand कि okay, सामने वाला बंदा अगर ये बोल रहा है तो इसके पीछे क्या रीजन है, एंड दैट इज द टाइम दे अंडरस्टैंड, ओके, दे हैव अ स्कोप ऑफ इम्प्रूवमेंट. Okay, once this happens and everyone is onboarded, there is a satisfaction in the smooth delivery of the application or the project also. So that is our fifth step. that we should be able to hand over our tasks in a graceful way, and we should be able to share that knowledge. In projects why this is related is because of course definitely एक ही काम पे सब लोग एक ही टास्क पे सब लोग काम नहीं करते हैं, बट एट द सेम टाइम एक ही टास्क को हर टीम मेंबर कभी ना कभी यूज करता है. ठीक है, मैंने जो टास्क कंप्लीट किया है वो यूज करके कोई और कुछ काम करेगा. सो इफ आई हैव प्रिपेयर्ड द टाइमलाइन बेस्ड ऑन दैट, my team will start working on that particular, so they should be able to read that particular timeline or the design. If they cannot read it properly, अगर मेरा handover ठीक से नहीं है तो the purpose would be defeated. Okay, so this is why it is important in the projects. What are the common interview questions for this? We just ask students whether how many project members they had, okay, in the project, what issues they faced during interacting with these team members, whether they could actually explain their opinion or issues to the team, if they think they themselves have any weaknesses during the work in their project, and how is it that they would suggest they can improve their work within the team. So when students have genuine answers for this, definitely we can make out whether the student actually worked on it, and whether they understand the dynamics of working in a team and handing over the tasks to each other. I suppose that's all from my end. We still have, I think, 5-10 minutes left. So I would again urge all the faculty who have participated with us. Since you are invested your time, please unmute yourself. Please provide your suggestions or take up this discussion forward. Or if there are any doubts, definitely those could be put in the chat box. Meanwhile, we had this question, right? That how students, what are the efforts the students should take to get a sponsored project. Now I will just explain it in the fashion the way we presented our deck or the session went. The very first thing for someone to invest into a project is it should be solving a problem. ठीक है, मार्केट में कोई भी इसके लिए नहीं बैठा है कि इट लुक्स गुड दैट्स व्हाई वी विल पे. Everyone wants कि कुछ solution होना चाहिए. There has to be a problem which is being solved, and only then they will sponsor that particular project. Second thing, when someone puts money, let us say if we are going to a shop to buy something, if we want to buy medicines, would we ever go to a clothing department? No, we would only go to a pharmacy. So basically what we look for is whether the students have the necessary skill set for that, okay, to solve that problem. If the students are coming and saying that we can solve this problem, the first question would be, do you have enough resources? Even if we pay you, okay, we will sponsor the project, do you still have enough resources? Because what I can see is all 4 or 10 students are from let's say IT department, and you are working on a robotics project or a civil automation project. तो फाइन, आप कोडिंग लिख दोगे, बट हु वुड एक्चुअली पुट इट इनटू वर्किंग? उसके लिए आपको कोई सिविल का बंदा लगेगा या फिर कोई मैकेनिकल का बंदा लगेगा. सो वेदर यू एक्चुअली हैव दोज काइंड ऑफ रिसोर्सेस. द थर्ड वन इज वेदर यू हैव एन अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ इट. आपने उसके ऊपर कितना रिसर्च किया है, वेदर यू हैव एक्चुअली योरसेल्फ पुट इन योर टाइम. क्योंकि अगर आप ही ने रिसर्च नहीं किया है तो हाउ डू यू एक्सपेक्ट मी to trust कि आप मेरा issue resolve करोगे. Okay, so when they have done enough research, when they have enough solution, when they have something concrete to show to me, when they have a plan and a timeline to show to me that if we have these many resources and this is what we are prepared to offer, and within this timeline this is how we will meet something, only then there is a consideration for sponsoring the project. There is one more very important point, that is the background or the history. If that particular college has a history of such kind of projects, that becomes how do I say, that becomes a landmark for that particular college. Because जब companies ये देखती हैं कि already इस college में इस type के projects हुए हैं and those are live projects being used by actual companies, that is the time they decide that okay, this seems to be trust. So it is about establishing credibility or establishing trust. जैसे हम लोग बच्चों को पूछते हैं कि आपका प्रोजेक्ट वर्किंग कंडीशन में है या नहीं है, the whole purpose of asking that is we then come to know whether they actually worked on it or not. Similarly, if someone wants to sponsor a project, they would definitely would like to know कि background क्या है, क्या इस कॉलेज में ऐसे projects बने हैं, whether those are live, and then how to overcome if someone is trying to do it for the first time. The first suggestion I would say is hire professionals for that. Okay, there are a lot of job opportunities in that as well. We saw it in the previous session also. There is a lot of freelancing. There are a lot of people who are promoting themselves on the art world, on YouTubers and all. You can hire such kind of freelancers who can actually work with you, guide with you for that kind of marketing. कि कैसे आप अपने आप को market करेंगे. Another way is you can have internal projects. If you cannot find an actual problem statement outside the college, come up with actual problems the colleges are facing. Okay, और उसके लिए जब आपके students हैं तो you can actually show the panel that is visiting the college, or even if it is an online interview, the students can show that okay, this kind of system is actually done. And this might seem a little unrealistic, but these are actually ideas which people will actually pay for. People are actually, or consultants are actually paid for. But we are all belonging to the kind of same fraternity. I don't mind explaining what all can go in this. So the first thing, अगर आप ये decide करते हैं कि आपके college में project निकलेगा, so the first thing you would come up with is actual problem statement, actual set of students who have worked on it. Okay, actual set of students who have implemented it, actual set of students who have marketed it. So now we are talking about different departments for which students are hired. Now you can say कि हमारे students सिर्फ coding ही नहीं करते हैं. We also have students who are from marketing department. We also have students who have written small notes in the newspaper also, wherein they have explained कि ये type का project implement हुआ है. Okay. We have students who have worked in editing a video. तो अगर आपने कुछ apart from coding कुछ actual implementation है, physical implementation है जिसमें automation किया है, या फिर कहीं पे कुछ civil ने कुछ construct किया है, something like that, you can ask some students to learn how to record a video, how to edit that video, and prepare a good video of it, put it on YouTube, or prepare it for the presentation panel. ठीक है, कि जो actually sponsorship के लिए जाएगा, you can ask them or show them that these kind of projects we have taken in the previous year, and this is the type of expertise we have, but now we want to do something more advanced, and that is why we are coming to you. So these are the things someone would look for to establish that trust, to establish that kind of confidence, and only then they would be interested in investing. All the details can be answered, but like I said, the first recommendation is getting the experts, getting people from the industry. Even we ourselves, we consult with colleges when it comes to that. So I think that would be a really good point to start with. Once we take that first step, issues definitely keep coming, but then solutions also present them, because it is not an alien concept nowadays. Startups are being opened. Similarly, solutions are also being promoted by students from different colleges and market areas.
I will request all the attending members, in case if you have any queries, you can now once again unmute yourself and raise your queries. And if you are not very comfortable to unmute yourself, you can always write your query in the chat box as well.
Thanks a lot, Dhotre sir and Nalaya sir, for your appreciation. I really hope that I was helpful in this. Any other questions or anything else that the participants would like to ask? I think definitely we can have a session with faculty also, wherein they open up to us. Even that would be
Actually, that has been a major challenge for us, especially in these online sessions. Actually, We have seen when there are offline faculty development programs, the interaction is much more. During these online sessions, I suppose it is a challenge.
I think this is a class. This could be a classic example wherein someone comes and mentions that okay, do this, do that, and there is very less practicality to it. Okay, let's say if someone right now unmutes and shares that sir आपने जो बोला है कि project दो ऐसा करो, but we do not have time. This is the problem. Something like that. So this is what happens in projects also. We give a task and we ask them to do it in let's say 2 days, and then they do not open up that okay sir, we do not have the expertise, or it will take time, or whatever xyz reasons. Only then we can come up with a solution, or else what happens is on the last day the whole exercise fails. So it is really important for everyone to be expressive about these things and be open on these things. Okay, Abhijit sir, I think the participants are satisfied with whatever has been shared. Based on few responses, I can definitely say that.
Sure.
And in my raid log, there will be an assumption also that participants are also satisfied.
Yeah, Rose ma'am has given her feedback. She says that points discussed are realistic. Thank you for the session. It was really informative.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
So, sir, all in all, on behalf of organizing committee of this faculty development program and on behalf of Ballarpur Institute of Technology, Ballarpur, please accept our sincere appreciation for the structured, organized, simple, and very relevant solutions that were shared by you to improve the quality of teaching in engineering education. It was very interesting to hear about the innovative solutions which were devised by students of IITs, like you mentioned, InShort, SAP. Then the story of the mines being found by rats in Cambodia, another very good example. Well, I also feel that none of it is actually a rocket science and it can be very easily achieved by average students of our colleges also. Now, after listening to you, I feel very sure about it. You also provided us a very detailed information on the way questions are asked in the interviews and these days, and what explanation will help the students get selected, and how to go about completing the projects with a new approach so that the students are ready to complete once they join the industry. The slides you shared and you showed also gave us a partial but close look at how the corporates or MNCs function, and that I suppose we couldn't have gained in any other way. So this session was really very informative and proposed a concrete solution to improve the teaching methodologies, is what I would say. So
Thanks a lot for this invitation. I really am honored to be here. Thanks a lot, Amita ma'am, for that last input from your end. Thanks a lot, all the faculties that have participated for bearing with us. I hope we could really contribute to the fraternity. With this, I think I'll stop the sharing. Have a good weekend, everyone.
So I will request all the faculty members to please fill in the feedback form, which will be shared in a couple of minutes. The link for the feedback form will be shared in a couple of minutes on the WhatsApp group. In case if you have any queries, any doubts, you can always get in touch with our group coordinator, sir, Professor Sunil Kuntawar, sir, or Professor Ashish Manusmare, sir. And it is a humble request to please fill in the form before 11 p.m. tonight, because after that the link won't open. So please fill in the form. Right now we will take a break from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. and we will resume our session at 5 p.m. as scheduled. Furthermore, you can join in the session of 5 p.m. using the very same link that has been provided to you in today's morning. The link that you have used to join right now, the same link has to be used to join the session back at 5 p.m. Until then, from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., we have this recess, a short break. So thank you very much for joining us, and please fill in the feedback.